Hey everybody, my name is Johnny and I've been making it my mission to find immersion and enjoyment in games again. And today I'm talking to you about Starfield and the ways in which I'm making this a more immersive experience for myself, and hopefully you can apply some of those ideas to your own gameplay. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is not fast traveling. At least sometimes take your time to actually walk back to the ship. And you don't have to do this every time, but maybe 1 out of every 5 times you actually walk back to your ship and you regale in the in the beauty of your own ship. Like in this case, I have an awesome one that I picked up here and I'm super excited. I love the magnitude of it, right? You walk up to this thing and it's ginormous. When compared to other games like No Man's Sky, those ships are actually tiny, aren't they? As much as I love those games. But here you have this just magnitude of it. As you approach, you go into it, you have all the different spaces you can check out in the ship. All your crew members can see what they're up to. Highly recommend. Sometimes have a run around, see what people are up to. You know what? Maybe I'll go to the kitchen here and see what's up. Look at that. We got Andrea hanging out. Maybe I'll talk to her and see what she thinks about the last mission we picked up. Oh, look, I forgot about the annoying kid that's on board and loves talking about books. Whatever it may be, maybe switch up your crew members so you can have some fresh perspectives on the different things that have been going on. All of that stuff suddenly opens up to you when you do this little extra manual step. Not to say that you also build up that sort of internal narrative of actually traveling between places instead of immediately teleporting to them. And this little animation of taking off the beep boops from the interface, I absolutely love it, right? And the little animations here just give you enough of a sense that you're actually traveling to a different planet or system that kind of keeps that narrative coherent in your head, as opposed to just the quick and easy teleportation. So even if you get to this point and then you immediately fast travel somewhere else, let's say that, we're gonna now land here, right? It still adds a couple layers of immersion and interaction to your experience. So I highly recommend you try this out. I think it's going to add to your experience. There are also lots of little interactions that will happen when you go into orbit. Different people will contact you, and those interactions are simply not possible if you don't take those steps, right? You will actually skip a lot of kind of cool conversations, honestly, by doing that. And again, just the experience of entering and exiting your ship can really add to overall your enjoyment. As you explore more and more planets, find ones that inspire you. Whatever you may think is a cool idea, go for it. Create an outpost. For example, I found this cool mountain here with a nice little landscape, and I thought, you know what? I would love to have like a cylindrical science outpost up here. So I went for it. I created it, and I'm taking some time to actually populate it with different things. And I can go in here, check out what my people are doing. I have a couple of people assigned to the station, which gives them a little bit of bonuses based on their stats and all that. So I can come in here and I can drop some of these things to make it feel a bit more lived in, right? All these kind of little items and this clutter adds to the sense that someone actually inhabits this space. Like, okay, this guy likes to, lift some weights. There's a little chill area here with this Jenga game or whatever that is. People can chill, and it just gives it a nice, cozy feeling, right? Or this is kind of ominous, the way the shadow is popping on that guy. It's his villain moment. Now, what I highly recommend is that instead of dragging items by simply holding the cursor on them and pressing the button or holding the button, is actually go into the build menu, and then from here, press A or whatever the button is for you on the item. And this will allow you to actually snap the item to the surface. And things like glasses and other things will actually be upright instead of kind of falling over and sometimes phasing into surfaces. So this is the best way to populate the areas with clutter. Another way to inspire you as to where to create an outpost can be what resources you're looking after. For example, if you're looking for some iron, I can look at this planet. I can see here, I got some iron. I can place a marker there, land, and then create an outpost right in that spot. And when I open the analyzer, I'll be able to find some iron deposits that I can extract from. And you can see here, I have a simple setup where I'm extracting iron. And if I open up the quick menu, I can then link the output to this storage box here. And that, in turn, can also be linked to this transfer thingy-majig, where if I land my ship right here, I'll be able to transfer items directly from this to the ship in very easy fashion. The other thing that's very handy is you can actually create a cargo link that allows you to establish a link between different outposts on the same planet and transfer between their inventories. Or you can splurge on the intersystem link, allowing you to do the same thing but for different systems. So you can actually link up outposts on different planets with this. Just keep in mind, it has an operating cost of helium-3. You know, even if you don't want to get into creating ships and all that, maybe you're overwhelmed by the menus, there's some simple things you can do to customize your ship that will make it feel a bit more like your own, right? So for example, here I got this nice looking ship and I changed the colors. That's all I did, right? It already looks way more like something that I would like to own, I would like to have. So you can simply go to any of these spaceports and talk to the dude.
Hey, what can I do for you?
The dude that's tagged with ship services.
You should inspect your ship for heat.
Going to modify my ships. And then in here, well, for one, you can just upgrade different parts of your ship, right? To just kind of make it a little bit better. But another thing, if you go into the ship builder, is you can quickly select all parts and then go into the color. And now you have 3 color strips that you can change around, right? You can kind of play with it and find something that you actually enjoy. For example, you know, maybe we like a little green and black action. And then you can just pop that for a very cheap price. And that's very quick to do, isn't it? So as an example, I could select this hull here. And I could just change that with the D-pad right and left to different variants of it, where I could fit in the same space, different number of passengers or things like that. And it also, the look of it might be slightly different. So that's another handy way you can replace stuff. Now, if you want to get more into depth, you can, of course, select different parts, separate them completely, and change things out in a much bigger way, which will take more time, but it might be a great investment because you'll feel like you own the ship way more if you actually design it. And especially if you end up coming up with a cool or goofy design, I can tell you it will add to your experience a great deal. As tempting as it is to skip dialogue, try to stay with it, especially for, you know, the main characters or more significant quests. Try to listen in, and here's my recommendation. If you struggle, like me, to be patient and just listen to the whole line before skipping, here's what I propose. Try to not look at the actual text. Look at the character itself, right? Look at the model and actually see some of the expressions. Some of them are goofy, right? It's an engine, but I highly recommend you just kind of stay with it. Right? Stick with the conversation, look at the character, look at what they're doing, how they're expressing something, and actually listen to what they're saying and kind of pay attention to it And you will find, I think, the more you give, the more you get. The more attention you're able to put into it, the more you will get into the whole thing. And sometimes it will be a small thing, but you might find that you're way more engaged with what those characters are going through or with what they're presenting to you if you kind of take things in this different way. Think about who your character is, right? And this ties back to role playing. When you set out a character, what are their motivations? What would they do in different circumstances? Do you have a clear idea of what they would do? And sometimes, for some people, that just is as simple as, what would I do, right? And you're projecting yourself into the character. That can work really well. For other people, they like to pretend like their character is someone else that they know from another fiction. And then in that case, it comes down to what would they do under a certain circumstance. But really kind of drill down and think, what is my character like? What is moving them in this plot, in this adventure? And really tie into that. And when you think about dialogue options, remember those things. And I can promise you, it will sediment the sense that you have an identity, or you have a character identity that you're playing into. The other thing is, take some time to maybe change your clothes sometimes. For example, if I'm going out on ranger missions, I actually take the time to equip my ranger outfit, because sometimes when I'm out in the world, I will switch to third person and it will just give me that extra feeling that I'm inhabiting the world and I'm kind of representing the role that I'm operating under at the moment. I might equip some casual clothes, right? Sometimes different things like that can also have a big impact in the sense that you're inhabiting that world and you're interacting with it in a meaningful way. Hey everybody, now that all the low attention span people have logged out of the video, I wanted to kind of break out here a little bit and explain why I'm even making a video about this, right? I think a lot of us struggle nowadays with boredom. Like, we just want to avoid boredom at all costs. We have no tolerance for it. If you go to the toilet for 5 minutes, you're gonna pull up your phone because you don't want to be bored for 5 minutes. And I would argue that something is lost there. There's this certain ability to tolerate a little boredom that I think is really valuable, because those moments actually open up times for your mind to circle back to you and give thoughts back. It's no coincidence why we have this term shower thoughts. Why? Is the shower a special place that cultivates inner thought and rumination? No, it's simply the only time when many of us are in silence with ourselves, right? Because we can't have like our phone there in the shower. And so I think for a lot of us, that's a little moment where, oh, now I'm thinking about, what aliens would look like, or whatever random thoughts you have in the shower. And I would argue that opening up more moments like this throughout your day are a very big benefit to you. I would highly recommend that. And this is something you can take into your gaming experience too. And it's something that I've struggled with in the past, where I would play a game listening to a podcast, skipping all the dialogue, and then I would complain that games aren't as engaging as they used to be. Bro, come on, right? You're not even giving it a shot. The attention game is such that you get more the more you put in, right? So you can try to do the most boring chore in your day, but if you're able to pay a great deal of attention to it, you will find that it's actually a pleasurable experience. And I'm serious, you can take this, you can go do the dishes, and if you're able to pay a lot of attention to it, really be fucking present as you do those dishes, you can actually find it a pleasurable experience. My cat Basil is here to corroborate this fact, aren't you, buddy? Oh yeah, I love doing dishes. He doesn't do the dishes. But yeah, you don't have to be a Zen master, and do the dish thing. But you can take this to your game and you can say, dude, I'm gonna be just present here. I'm gonna look at this motherfucker's face as he tells me this dialogue, right? I'm gonna take it in, I'm gonna dig into it. I'm gonna listen to this music that's in the background and that's swelling up as I explore this landscape. I'm gonna slow walk, right? I'm gonna take it all in. I'm gonna slow walk. I'm gonna look at the different angles. I'm gonna go up that mountain and then look the other side as the sun sets down. Create internal narratives in the game that make sense for you. For example, when I finish playing the game, I go back to my home in the game and I sleep there. I have this emergent narrative where at the end of my, work day or whatever, I go there, I chill, I set some inventory aside, I, populate the house with some new things that I picked up in my adventures, and I have a night's sleep. And then, boom, I save and I exit the game, right? And when I pick it up again, I'm there, I set out, I plan out what I'm gonna do, and bam, I'm going. It's a little routine within the game itself that generates a bit of a skeleton around which I'm able to create this inner narrative that's in my head, and it's completely outside of what the game itself is doing. I take this back all the way to GTA San Andreas, where I had my routine. I would go out biking in the morning, I would hit the gym, and then I would eat a big burger. I would have a great day, right? And I would do those things out of no necessity. The game doesn't push you to do those things. But I had my emergent narrative that pushes me to do these things. In Kerbal Space Program, I had the idea that I was creating this kind of space empire, right? I would lay out these projects. They weren't things that the game were telling me to do. I just had this drive, right? I want to create these satellites that are going to be connected. I want to create this moving space station that's going to be able to travel to different planets and all this stuff. And so all of it was driven by my internal emergent narrative. And that's what pushed me to do all those things. And that's what pushed my enjoyment of the game. So I challenge you to try to put in as much attention as you can. Turn off the podcast, turn up the game volume, listen in, look at stuff, take your time with things. And if you take anything from this video, is do less, but enjoy more, right? Take it slower, slow down the pace, be okay with a little boredom. Don't be afraid of it. Fucking embrace that shit, right? And dig into the details, get into the details, and enjoy your experience, the little things in your emergent narrative. And with that, I will leave you. Until next time, fly safe, Captain.